All right, let's get started. So I'm Summer Fagoni, everyone, Head of Marketing here at RapidScale. Thank you all for joining this month's webinar. I'm excited to announce that we have a guest speaker today, actually, which is Andrew Lauder. He is our Senior Strategic Channel Manager based out of Florida. Before he gets started with this month's webinar, I'd like to remind everyone that the webinar is recorded and it's going to be shared with all of you later today in both deck and video form. Additionally, if you have any questions, I'll be addressing those via the chat throughout the webinar, or we can have Andrew answer them throughout the webinar or at the end. So with that said, take it away, Andrew.
Okay, thanks, Summer. And again, thanks everybody for jumping on with us. So what we wanted to cover today was probably the most important aspect of the cloud computing space. And this is really how we differentiate ourselves and how you guys can certainly differentiate yourselves from some of the other players out there in terms of really coming in and offering a consultative approach to the company's business and their strategy moving forward to the cloud. So when we first started doing this, a few years ago, I've been on for 3.5 years now, and initially the conversations were and the trainings were about the solutions, right? The values and benefits of moving to the cloud. What is hosted exchange? What is disaster recovery as a service? What are qualifying questions to ask for all the solutions? We've now kind of matured to the point where we're talking about the ongoing support that the client needs, right? At this point, everybody knows that the initiative to move to cloud is there. It makes sense for the business from the CapEx versus OpEx and the benefits and security and whatnot. But furthermore, once they've decided that this is the right move for their business, now what other types of support can we layer on top of that from a day-to-day perspective? So where we're seeing the biggest shift in the managed cloud is around the SMB and mid-market space. So the initial reason that they came to us and come to you is because typically they're very lean on IT. They're constantly putting out fires, managing the environment. So they would like to be able to move to an outsourced model so that they can move away from some of those daily tasks. Well, that's where this has kind of matured along the way. And again, as the cloud space has matured, we've matured with it, right? So we tailor our delivery now of the solutions around what we have to offer to them. So what we like to do is we like to sit back and understand the business, understand their IT department, what they're doing today, and then essentially what they would like to let go. So this is going to be kind of covering all the aspects that we're seeing on a daily basis, the solutions, what they have with them, and what we can offer on top of those. So essentially, each one of our solutions, host exchange, disaster recovery as a service, infrastructure as a service, and desktop as a service, all have two basically offerings, right? We have our unmanaged and our managed. The unmanaged is going to be for those larger mid-market and enterprise clients that have full-blown IT staffs, they have experience, they've got VMware guys, they've got Citrix guys. So they basically just need a good platform and a good back-end support to move forward. On the other side, you got the SMB mid-market that doesn't have this, that basically wants to use us as an extension of their IT department and handle everything for them. So kind of just throwing a few stats at you guys, and these are very accurate, right? And this is some things that we're seeing on a daily basis. So the first one, most importantly, with nearly 1/2 of the IT decision makers believe their organization's IT workforce is not completely prepared to address the changes of managing their own cloud resources over the next 5 years. So essentially, what does this mean, right? So you have a customer that's running all physical servers on site, right? Now they want to move the initiative of virtualizing their infrastructure maybe internally. Well, they're looking at who they have and who they've run. They're typically tier 1 guys who work on local break fix, and they can do some local area network management, but they don't have any VMware experience or Hyper-V experience. So they're kind of have a barricade in terms of how they're going to get to the next step, right? So as opposed to going out and hiring a bunch of highly qualified engineers, they can go look at outsourcing this and going to us. Therefore, we can then leverage what those guys are existingly good at and their familiarity with the environment and how they do business, and then we come in and lay our expertise on the back end. 80% of IT decision makers feel that leadership underestimates the cost and effort of managing cloud systems internally. That's 100% accurate in what that's saying. Once they start really taking a look at what it costs for some of these deploys, especially if you take a look at a Citrix guy, bringing in a high-level Citrix engineer, those are $200K plus guys per year annually. So that's going to be extremely expensive for them to do that as opposed to the as-a-service model that they were offering. And then in terms of finding the difficulty in finding good cloud talent, the reason why it's hard to find good cloud talent is because nobody knows exactly what good cloud talent looks like, right? Where have you from? What have you been doing? A lot of these businesses don't know how to qualify an engineer in terms of what they've done in the past to be able to figure out what they're capable of doing with their business, right? But when you're looking at a company such as ours, this is what we do. So in turn, we do have the expertise and the kind of proof is in the pudding with the resume that we put forward. So the managed cloud approach. So I jumped one there. Okay. So kind of at the surface, right? So if you take a look at an infrastructure, right, and these people, anybody who has non-premise infrastructure or virtual infrastructure managing themselves, these are all things that they're doing today. Now, one of the conversations that always wants to be had with your end user customers, basically, do you know what technology or what services are available to you? Some people don't understand. They see the Amazon model and they see the Azure model and they basically think that the cloud could be more of a self-service, right? Okay, so we just, instead of buying a server, we get to go rent a server within their space. We still have to handle everything. So they may not know that you can have a company come in and offer full patching and updating, end user device management, licensing management, proactive monitoring, utilization, assistance with application support, and then be able to answer the phones 24/7, 365. So they might not understand this. So these are conversations that you want to have with the customer, and these are ones, again, we have every day. Before I even begin talking about RapidScale or what we do with the customer, I want to know about your business. Tell me about your IT department, tell me about your day-to-day, tell me about the local infrastructure, what are some challenges that you're having, because whenever we start to understand those, we start to understand what layer of support we can put on top of it to be able to offer a kind of a tailor-made solution for their business. So starting off with infrastructure as a service, and this is probably the easiest one for anybody to understand. So whenever you have an unmanaged environment, basically, we stand up the server, we load the operating system, whether it's 2008, 2012, and we hand it over to the customer or the partner, wherever it is, and from there on, from the operating system up, they're responsible for that server. All we're responsible for at RapidScale is to make sure that server's up and running, operational and accessible. Everything through that is responsible from the client. So, and this is a good model for some people. We've got some large companies, billing six figures with us that have big IT staffs, and they handle all this. They typically just call us if ever they have any type of new initiative within the business. Maybe they acquired another company, they need some help consolidating, things of that nature. But day to day, they're handling it. Now, on the other side, within the fully managed, now we'll take a look at the infrastructure, right? So what we will do for the client, in which case most of them, nobody wants to patch and update the operating system. I haven't talked to a single, well, I won't say single, some of them do, but for the most part, anybody who's pretty lean on IT does not want to handle the patching and updating of the operating system. Now, we do work together with them. We don't just go throwing patches out there without, notifying the customer, right? We do work with them on this, so it's not like there's no lack of communication, right? We're working together with them, but we're handling that for them. The main piece of this that really gets people excited about the monitoring is the software that we can layer on top of within the solution. So we basically use a software that ties in CPU, RAM, storage, and that's directly tied into our ticketing system. So what this means is we set a threshold within these server instances, and one of the main reasons why servers within our space start performing and you have degradation in performance is due to high utilizations, right? Spikes in activity within the business for whatever reason. And those a lot of times are ones that they're up in trouble tickets saying, hey, the server's acting slow, performance is bad, and we go in there, take a look at it, and we notice utilization's high. So now we've addressed this with a proactive approach where we set this threshold called 70% utilization within the servers and storage, and they're all tied in. So in the event that the customer reaches those thresholds within their infrastructure, it automatically opens up a high priority ticket within our ticketing system, and we address it instantly. So that would be the same priority as downtime. If somebody's got a downtime, a hard down, then we're jumping on that and we're escalating it. Same thing with utilization, because This is going to ensure that we don't ever have any issues with performance on the end user side, because we're making sure that we address this. And now with the 2012 operating system, we're capable of adding kind of the RAM on the fly without having to go back and restart the server, which of course is great, whereas before you'd have to go in there and do that. Some of the other things, so that's in terms of the operating system. The other piece of it is through the application side. So a lot of other companies that we go up against on a daily basis, you know, kind of stop at the operating system. They'll patch and update it, but they will not go into the application. So one of the things that we do is we take a look at the application. Essentially, whenever we have a fully managed model, we are then, you know, kind of your IT department. So if you start having application issues, we essentially take a look at that with you. We're going to look at the server, right? And then we're going to say, okay, server's good, everything's good, utilizations are good. Now let's take a look at the application. We go in there, work in the application. The only thing we're going to be limited to is the code, right? We obviously cannot fix the code because we didn't write the code. So we then work directly with the customer to escalate that to the software vendor. And then work on that with them. So they're never kind of on their own. We don't have that kind of line in the sand saying, okay, we don't touch this any farther. This is now on you guys to go fix. We're going to kind of work together with them shoulder to shoulder, because as the experts in the infrastructure and that extension of your IT department, we want to make sure that you have all the support that you need. From there, furthermore, I mean, any type of report that can be printed off the operating system, log management, things of that nature, we can build that into as well. A lot of the financial companies that we're working with at this point are in turn wanting to use the log management to kind of show that, because they're doing it today. So those are all things to do as well. Furthermore, in some instances, they want us to monitor the local area network, in which case the same software can be used to do that. We can check up, down, and monitor it. And kind of give them that support as well that they need kind of through and through. So desktop as a service. For desktop as a service, very similar to infrastructure as a service. So within a desktop environment, a virtual desktop environment, you've got underlying infrastructure, you've got licensing, you've got NetScalers, right? There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to power that and create that golden image that we do deploy out. So whenever it comes to, you know, an unmanaged environment would in turn have a Citrix engineer, somebody to kind of handle the underlying infrastructure, right? Managing user profiles, things of that nature. For us in the fully managed, which in our case, 98% of all of our customers choose to have a managed desktop as a service environment. So we handle all that for them, even taking it down to the user side of the house. So adding users, changing passwords, managing the profiles, everything that is to be done on from administrative purpose within those virtual desktops, we're going to be handling and taking on for them. We can also kind of help patch and monitor, patch, update, and monitor the end user devices that they're working on. So if they're not working on any type of dummy terminal, if they've got laptops or PCs, we can of course layer the software on as well to tie that in and be able to provide those reports and whatever kind of support they need on that desktop. Anything that can be done remotely, essentially. Summer, any questions thus far?
None yet. You're good to go.
Okay, great. Mail. So mail is, this one's pretty much a no-brainer when it comes to management. So I don't know if you guys have how much experience you've had with our mail, but our mail, I mean, it's a low-margin product for us. This was a gateway solution early on where people were first kind of dabbling with the cloud and the idea of the cloud and what can I kind of let go first. We use the mail as one of the first pieces, right? So mail, we have, similar to the rest of them, we have two options. We have managed and unmanaged. You know, the unmanaged is going to be very similar to 365, $4 per seat. Managed is going to be a few more dollars per user. Now, what this is going to include is anything that they do from the Exchange side, we handle for them. So changing passwords, email bounce backs, adding users, creating distros, the whole, basically everything associated with their exchange, we're going to completely handle for them. Of course, we can set it up, monitoring it, turnkey, everything. Hey, Summer, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you still there? Hey, Andrew, are you there? One moment, everyone. We're having some technical difficulties.
Hey, Summer, that's okay. I'll jump in while Andrew gets reconnected here. I've been watching it. Hi guys, Mark Sodkowski, President of RapidScale. I hope you're all doing wonderful this morning. Super excited that Mr. Lauder wanted to take on the webinar for us this month. So great that he's doing it, but I'll pick up where he left off until he jumps back on and says, I'm here. So what he was saying with regards to mail is we have two ways we deliver our multi-tenanted mail product. And as most of you know, we have two products around our cloud mail. We have a multi-tenanted product and we have a private dedicated product. So for this presentation, we'll focus on the multi-tenanted product and really touch base on why this makes a lot of sense for you all to understand the difference between managed and unmanaged. So all multi-tenanted platforms, ourselves, Office 365, Intermedia, etc., we all manage the underlying infrastructure, right? That just comes with the whole idea of buying a hosted exchange environment solution set. But what that means is we're managing all of the health of the system, right? We're going to make sure mail flows in, mail flows out, and we're going to keep all the patches updated. We're going to keep all of the current Microsoft upgrades that they put into the product moving forward for all of your customers. Our big differentiator here is our end user management. And again, I want to stress this to y'all. We provide end user management on our multi-tenanted platform, as well as our Office 365 platform. As most of you know, we rolled that product set out earlier this year. So in regards to the multi-tenanted platform, end user management means we'll actually become the help desk for your client for all of their end users. So it makes a ton of sense for the real small customer as well as the real large customer. We give you guys all a great example of end user management and how we really have to explain this multiple times to your customers and our customers. For a low nominal monthly cost, we'll actually take any phone call that comes in from that client around their mail flow and around mail working on their devices. And that's really, really important. We have so many new smartphones coming out on a regular basis that when they're looking at doing upgrades and moving to a new smartphone, a lot of general IT staffs, if you think you've got typically one IT help desk person to 100 users inside somebody's own environment, when they have 500, 600, 700 users and somebody goes out and buys a new phone and the help desk folks don't know about that new phone, it takes literally from minutes to hours to get mail set up on that new phone platform. We've got an entire help desk that does this 24/7, 365, and obviously they see these things much more often than an internal IT team will. So when we start looking at managing 800, 900, 1,000 end users, economies of scale really come into play. And this is a great place where you can show a very strong ROI in selling a customer a managed mail solution. So for example, we have a customer, they have 850 mailboxes. We're managing all those end users for $2 a mailbox per month. So that's $1,700. It might sound like a lot of money, but when you think about that, that's freeing up at least one, if not two, of their help desk guys from dealing with all the common issues that come in around mail. I just got a new device. My laptop got stolen. I got a new laptop. I've got to load it on there. My mail, I lost this email. I can't find it. Can somebody go into the archive and pull it out for me? I forgot my password, which is, by the way, still the #1 issue we get in supporting customers is I forgot my password. I need a password reset. Our team is there, they're on top of it, and they move very quickly to secure that customer, get them fixed, and get them moving forward. So if you think about this big picture, you're obviously getting a great added benefit for a very low cost. It allows that end user customer, that IT director or CIO, excuse me, to go ahead and restructure their support system for their folks. And they can repurpose those IT assets that they have on site and put them into other operations within the company that help the company leverage other technology to improve their profitability. Andrew, you back yet?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. My my headset died on me.
All you, man. Take it back over, big dog. I'll step back out.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in there, Mark. So yeah, I mean, so when it comes to mail, kind of like Mark was saying, it's pretty much a no-brainer to have us manage it for them. I mean, there obviously is some companies who would like to have, you know, that control and they want to do it themselves, which is perfectly fine, which is why we have the option to be able to do both. So recovery. So cloud recovery essentially is that's our DR solution. So we obviously all know about what disaster recovery as a service is, right? We're layering on a replication software, an instance of replication software on the machines. It's pulled over real time to a warm standby on our side, which is ready to fail over in the event of a disaster on the client side. So whenever we start talking about management that's layered on top of that, is basically comes to alerting and kind of keeping a watchful eye on it. Now, there are things that happen within an on-premise infrastructure that can cause the replication software to no longer be replicating. Things such as a VMware or a Hyper-V upgrade that's, you know, that was not communicated to us to do, therefore, you know, stops the replication of the server. So what we do is we set up the alerting software. We go in there and we manage this from our side proactively to ensure that the replication is up and running and they're all running green throughout the entire time. Now, furthermore, folks do like to do DR tests throughout the year sometimes, typically maybe once a year, once every other year, whatever it is. So whenever you have the management built into this, you've got the assistance from our team to do the DR test as they would, right? We also layer in account management with this as well, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But then obviously all the underlying infrastructure, the patching and updating of the servers, the Zerto Cloud Connector, all that is going to be handled within the management of disaster recovery as a service. And this is another one where they want us to handle this. This is something that typically they do want to do fully managed because it's running on our side. We're familiar with the interface. It's our infrastructure, so you guys handle this for us. We just want to make sure that we have a rock-solid insurance policy in the event that we ever encounter a hiccup on our production side. So the Office 365, Mark talked about this a little bit earlier today, and this is something that we brought into the portfolio pretty recently. You know, really the reason behind it is, you know, we've always been able to deliver the Microsoft suite of products, but being a SPLA provider, you know, things such as the Office suite, you have to have either an RDS or a Citrix session running in order to deliver that licensing to the client. So this allows us to have a little bit more flexibility on how to offer the Office suite, ensure that we're able to handle any aspect. Not to mention, most customers want to do 365 at this point, so it's something else that we can offer in where they can keep it all in-house with RapidScale. So manage 365. So you know, when customers were going out early on and they were purchasing 365, basically okay, this is a great idea. We want to have this, and they purchase it and they get it, and then they don't really know what to do with it. Right? We don't know how to set it up. No management. The email. We don't know what we're doing with this. Right? So then you have to have a third party come in there and do that. So that's essentially what we're doing, is we're giving the full turnkey experience to the client, managing everything, supporting the licensing. We are the one throat to choke, or the one hand to shake for everything within the 365 that they do. We can do obviously fully managed. We can do the mail features with it, manage the mail. Again, so this is also 365 is something that we typically want to sell as a standalone. We like to sell it on top of another solution that we do have. So that's something that you guys, if you have opportunities for this, obviously please let us know. Contact myself. or whoever your local channel manager is, to be able to address this with them and see if this is something that's a right fit for all of us. Because the other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we're able to deliver the right solution to the client, which a lot of times is more than just a 365 they're looking for. There's typically other solutions that they are looking for. So the next piece to this is the account management. So the account management has come on very strong and very heavily over the past few years, and it really works hand in hand with the management piece of it. So what our account managers do is essentially they stay in touch with our clients, depending on the size of the client and the requirements that they have, setting up quarterly business reviews, annual reviews, on-site visits, any type of MACDs, things of that nature, right? That's all done by the account management. And essentially this gives them the added white glove service. So we fully expect in a managed environment that our engineers are going to be on top of everything, delivering the highest level of service that you have and that you need 24/7, 365, proactively, and making sure that your environment's up and running at a high level the entire time. Furthermore is that personal touch from the account management. And this has been very well taken within the market and within our customers that are using this, because it gives them another person to talk to, because we all know we're all very busy and this is what we do. So any type of billing issues they have, any type of moves that changes, any type of mergers, acquisitions, all this stuff is going to be worked directly with account management to help make sure that this is done seamlessly, and then in turn hand over to the back office to make sure that they handle that as well. The quarterly business reviews are one piece that in the pre-sale cycle that we talk about that customers very much like. So some of the things that we do talk about and we show in whenever we come in there and do these QBRs with the customer is trouble ticket reviews. So we'll take a look at all the trouble tickets for, call it, the past 3 months, right, the past quarter. We take a look at these, which trouble tickets are happening more often than not, right? Is this something on the RapidScale side that we can get better at? Is this something on the end user side that maybe there's a knowledge transfer that needs to happen to the end users to avoid any particular problems that they're having? So we take a look at that and we lay all that out. That in turn is going to give them the full picture of what's going on behind the scenes with the business, as well as anything that we can do better moving forward. The other piece to that is whenever we have with the monitoring software within the management, we've got the utilization that it monitors, so we can show utilization reports. So we can take a look at the full infrastructure of the utilization reports and show levels of utilization, what they're looking at, how much work, essentially how much the servers have been being used, right? So we can then take those numbers and either scale that, potentially scale those servers down if they're not utilizing enough, or scale them up, right? Furthermore, if they're a company that is a seasonal company and they do see a period of ramp up coming, we can then beef those servers up and get that infrastructure ready for that. So that's stuff that's all covered with them. Same thing if they're looking at mergers and acquisitions. We have a customer of mine that just doubled in size, and then they're also looking to add on 6 more on the side of that. So those are all things that we proactively looked at with the account management. We talked about it, what's expected. That way, then we went into the project to do the project. We're fully aware of what needed to be done. The back office was brought up to speed, and now they're driving this thing from the account management side to make sure it's all done tastefully and seamlessly. So those are all very important touches that the customer needs to have that's going to make them feel good that we do care about their business, because we certainly do. And then furthermore, give them that main point of contact to make sure that anything's handled from an escalation standpoint as well as the day-to-day. So I'm not sure if anybody's aware of what we have going on. So we still have our 3 primary data centers that are running out of the United States: Sterling, Virginia; Dallas, Texas; Irvine, California. Of course, those are all Tier 3 data centers, same ones we've had for years and years. Now, We've recently brought on Hong Kong, so that is now up and live and operational and running clients out of. And we're also in the process of building out Amsterdam, which should be done by the end of this year. So we're growing our footprint globally, and that's due to some international customers that we have that are now needing to have those point of presences outside the United States. So within the United States, within the U.S.-based customers, obviously their data is not going to be replicated outside of the United States, unless of course they ask for it. So that's all going to stay within the continental U.S. for all those customers. So that's all we have for the management. Do we have any questions for me?
There's a good one that I answered, but I think it would be good for you to address with everyone. How do we work with partners who directly compete with us from a managed services offering perspective?
Very simple. We give them a solid platform to manage. That's why we have both of these options. So for the MSPs, and again, I have a lot of MSPs that basically just use us, and they layer their own monitoring software on there, and they handle everything the day. They can even take first calls and then escalate us as they need to. So that's why we have both options. So being a channel-based company, channel-centric company, we don't have any direct sales, right? So our partners are our go-to-market, and that's what we use. So we have to be able to tailor our solutions for them as well as for the customers, because no two partners are the same and no two customers are the same. So just like an enterprise customer that has a 25 team of IT employees dedicated to that business, we have partners that have 10 or 15 engineers that are dedicated to businesses. This is what they do. So we can give you that platform. Here's full access to the portals. Handle it. You guys can spin up, spin down servers, partition storage, patch, update, monitor. Bring in your own management, your own monitoring and management. Everything you need to do, that's certainly there for you and available to you. Now, furthermore, there's also there's a hybrid approach to that, where certain MSPs may be very good within the VMware environment, but haven't really done much of Citrix, right? So in turn, we can have them handle the application servers and the storage, and then we can go in and fully manage the desktops, right, in the Citrix environment. So there's always a solution for the partner and for the customer, right, so we can make that work no matter what.
Great. Let's just give it a teeny bit to see if anyone types in any more questions. All right, here's one. Managed mail. Please explain spam filtering capabilities included with managed mail.
Okay, so the standard exchange uses Microsoft Forefront for its antivirus, anti-spam filtering. So Forefront is no longer supported by Microsoft. So what we do whenever there's need, typically it's almost a mandatory to layer on, similar to a backups for the infrastructure, is we use a third-party spam filtering, which also they do archiving and everything else. So Mimecast is a company that we work directly with. If you guys aren't familiar with them, they're a leader in the space. We're a wholesale partner with Mimecast. So we can layer that anti-spam, antivirus on top of the exchange.
Perfect. I think that is all the questions. All right, so, here we have another one. One second. Has RapidScale ever considered providing a free network assessment tool to gather basic information, including OS type, number of computer servers, etc.?
Yeah, so we actually do have, we have a product called Cloud Discovery, and that's good. I'm not sure if we've done a recent webinar on that or not, but just that information you could find in the partner portal. But yeah, we do. I mean, so essentially we have a software that can be installed onto the network remotely, and it basically everything that has an IP, it pings and gathers data on. So it then puts it back, and we can then put a report together to show them what exactly we have running. So where that works out well is larger companies that have maybe multiple data centers that they've kind of acquired gear over time and just kind of piecemeal it together. for any type of new IT director or CTO or CIO that has just recently been hired into a company, and now they'd like to see a transparent view of their infrastructure and what they're running. That's something that we can use to work with them. And then furthermore, if we're looking to take you from where you're at today and then bring you over to our space and to our cloud, we can then kind of come in and leverage this software to provide us a full report. That way we can build out the solution on our end to be, equivalent to what you have today. And this software also does shows interdependencies within databases and things of that nature. So it's very granular and a very good product. And those folks that have leveraged it in the past and those customers and partners, it definitely helps with us getting a full picture of what they have, and then be able to truly be strategic on how we're going to move forward.
Andrew, what's that product cost, that Cloud Discovery?
So it's the $1,500 for the initial assessment, and that's up to 1,000 endpoints. And then above 1,000 endpoints, we just basically take a look and see what essentially they have, and then we put the pricing together accordingly.
Perfect. Does RapidScale support Microsoft Office 365 email without desktop as a service?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why we have the 365. So before, like I said, we used to use the SPLA license where we could bring in the Office Suite, Standard or Pro, for the client. But now the reason why we do have the 365 is because, in the event that they would like to go that direction, but they don't necessarily want to have an RDS, remote desktop service, or terminal server, or Citrix or desktop as a service environment, we can now offer the Office Suite and email if they like to. So yeah, that's exactly what it's for.
Is there a minimum number of users for Office 365 as a standalone, Andrew?
Yeah, the minimum is 50.
All right.
And that's if it's, again, that caveat, that's if it's a standalone. So if they've got some DR or maybe some servers are running with us, right, then that number's, obviously flexible. But if it's just, strictly on the 365 piece, there's a minimum of 50.
Awesome. Great answers, Andrew. Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions we have, so we'll save everyone 20 minutes this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. So thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. You'll all receive a follow-up email from me today with the deck and a link to the video within the partner portal. If you don't have access to the partner portal yet, just send me an email and I'll make sure you get in. So have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for your time today.